Welcome to the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL fantasy. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. Your hosts, Frosty and Steve-O.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL fantasy. Today we're going to be talking a bit of Vegas TLT with the 4 teams playing there. And before we do, if you can subscribe, it would be much appreciated. And also go into the description and look for our overall league code. Join in there with a couple other 100 people and we'll see who comes out on top. But Frosty, before we start again, you look like you're in a different location, mate.
Yeah, change the scenery. I tell you what, Steve-O, we're on the up at Fantasy HQ. I've taken to the road, so down the South Island of New Zealand, in the Otago region, the mighty land of the Highlanders for any Union followers. Not sure where that is. So parked up here for the last few days with a couple of weddings. So yeah, looking forward to a wee change the scenery and another episode.
Hope it all goes good for you down there, and hope you're able to watch the Knights take on the Cowboys on Sunday afternoon at 5:15 p.m.
Yeah, won't be missing the Vegas games. I'll tell you that for free, no matter where I am.
It would be rude to, mate. It would be rude to. Right, we'll transition straight into the team list, and we're basically going to look at who we think are must-haves for round one from Vegas. See a couple narratives around these players. So, starting off with the Knights versus Cowboys. A couple of big names here for the Knights is Kalen Ponga back at number 1, which makes Fletcher Sharp the halves partner with Dylan Brown. So that's quite exciting. That's how I predicted they should have it. And put Sandon Smith to 14 on the bench. And then for the 4-pack, Crosland starts at half, at hooker, and Mooney, although with a bit of news that he might not get the start, has earned it. Whether or not that stays, I think we're going to talk about that. And McEwen as well, someone that we were a bit iffy about in terms of getting that starting role, but he's locked into 12 there. Thomas Cant, though, is on the bench in number 16. For the Cowboys, it's as to be expected, I guess. Chester gets that centre duel now, so he's centre wing fullback on the app. That's very good for coaches. Dearden is at 7 with Purdue at centre, so he's not at half yet. I do expect that to possibly change when Labour comes in. In the 4-pack, Ruben Cotter locks down lock, and Tamalolo is in there at prop. Lukey gets a start. Happy to see that one. Sonny Luke, though, is on the bench, which makes it pretty difficult for Marnie to get maybe more than 60 minutes. John Bateman there, hiding down at number 19. Looks like he won't play in Vegas unless there is a game time shuffle. Maybe he's one of the players that comes on now that they can use that 18-19, so they'll have 6 on the bench. It'd be interesting how they roll out those sort of 5 forwards there on the along with Luke for the Cowboys. So, Frosty, looking at the Knights first, what sort of interests you the most?
Yeah, the big one for us coaches was in the 4-pack there, Trey Mooney. All preseason we thought we had a nice cheapie who was going to do the job beside the guns, and some late mail doing the rounds on social media had us a little bit concerned of him parking up on the pine to start the game. Looks like it's not to be, but what are your thoughts? Can coaches be confident or check on that our team list before kickoff?
The good thing is it is first game, so it's one that I'll definitely be checking to see if he does get a late switch. Because if Croker was to come in at 13 and Frizzell go to prop, which was what was sort of predicted, it may mean Trey Mooney's ceiling is like 40 minutes. And I mentioned to you offline just before, Crosland as well, with Sandon Smith on the bench. I do expect Sandon Smith to play some hooker, which will push Crosland to 13, and I think then again Frizzell and Croker play minutes of the prop. So Mooney for me is still a buy. I'm still going to start with him, just at his price range of $4.50. I still think as the season goes, he's going to be a big minute player, hopefully. And hopefully gets up to around that 60 minutes. But even if he's a slow burn to start, I still think it's worth the pick.
Yeah, great point you make around Crossland. I hadn't picked up on that myself. So more than likely, because he did play some minutes there at the back end of last season, for those that were following along last year. So it does make sense. And Smith, it would be unwise if he's replacing a Sharp or someone like that to mix up the spine in that way. So that's probably the expected play. And what does that mean for Mooney's minutes? You would certainly think 45 plus, 50 plus would be fantastic from round one. And like you said, hopefully getting that 55 to 60 eventually. But as long as he can get 45, be a point a minute, money to be made, slow burn. Maybe not as pretty as what we had all expected early draws in the preseason, but no reason still to get him out of your round one teams, I don't think.
So one name I am more confident on now and has made his way into my personal team is Dylan Brown. And with the halves partner of Fletcher Sharp, I love to see Dylan Brown get a lot more kicking, a lot more of the sort of ball dominance, leading the team around the park. I mean, that's, as we said in earlier weeks, that's why they've got him to the club. They need to go all in this and hope they have enough X factor in that back line to give them some attacking stats, because as we saw last year and even in trials, their attack is horrendous at times. So, I mean, if you look at that back line, you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, that's right. And with him being in the 7, kicking meters correct, so that's good for his base stats. So we're looking at, would you imagine 30 points base stats by the time he has 300 plus kicking meters? There's 10 points, 20 tackles. That would probably be fair enough, wouldn't it, for Dylan Brown?
You'd like to think, and then maybe, running meters, he should get at least 100 running meters in a game. And then particularly on that side of the, I'm assuming he plays on the, which side will he play? I mean, he's listed as
he was on the right side. He was on the right side in the trials. Yep. And that probably makes sense. The bigger body, more solid defensive player out of himself and Smith, and now himself and Sharp. And that's so you'd like to think 20 plus tackles there.
That's with Gagai and Young on his side, along with Ponga floating around as well. So, I mean, there's plenty of attacking threats both sides of the field. So you'd like to think he gets some attacking stats on top of that, whether it be line breaks, an offload or a try assist sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
What about Kalen Ponga? So he was not in my frame whatsoever, but he's just he's that sort of player that occasionally lets me down, but I love to have him in my team because he's one of my favourite players to watch when he's on song. And I think he'll pick up the goal kicking. And I think also he's actually going to pick up quite a few kicking meters with this team. So I think he'll end up splitting a lot of the kicking meters with Brown. So you could probably expect a higher base from Ponga along with the goal kicking and kicking. So is that someone that at 600k you would also consider starting with this season?
Yeah, 100% agree with all your points there, Steve-O. With this change, Sanders Smith on the bench, most likely not to feature in the halves. Barring a late change, which again may be a possibility. There's a couple here for the Knights. Sharp to 14 would blow my mind, and like you said earlier, wouldn't be the way we go, but you never know with NRL coaches these days. But as long as it stays the same, I do expect Ponga goal kicking to keep it even when Smith comes on the field for his 20 to 30 minutes. A few kicking meters. So he might be a bit of a Reece Walsh for the Knights now, which is positive signs for his base. A little bit more consistent, and he certainly jumped straight onto my radar. I mean, I guess the debacle is we've mentioned Walsh multiple times through our episodes in the preseason, and I've personally stayed away. But I checked again today, and he's now at 37%. So, that guy's numbers are climbing and climbing, and I just get more nervous. Like, you go against the pack, and he goes 70 and 60 back to back and scores 130 points 2 rounds. I'm not sure many wing fullbacks are matching that, even Ponga. Ponga's only at 6%. A little bit cheaper, 50k cheaper. And you don't decide a move just because of round one, but round one in Vegas with this narrower field does have me really nervous for the Knights with a lack in attack. Struggled last year, didn't show anything in the preseason against the Dogs, and now they've got less width to work with. I'm not massive on Ponga for round one, but outside of that, I think his stocks have certainly risen in my books. because Smith now finds himself on the bench instead of in the half. So I'd certainly understand coaches going it, but I don't think you can have both him and Reece Walsh. So it's either stay with the pack with Walsh or an early pod play with Ponga and hope for the best.
And moving back to the 4-pack for the Knights, McEwen there at 12 on the edge. Someone both you and I were pretty high on to start. It was sort of early word was he was going to have that spot, and he, looks to be a good point scorer. For me, it's just there's a lot of other edge options with good value, and I'm not 100% certain he's going to keep that spot or get reliable minutes of 55 plus. So with Kant there, I think there's reason for McEwen getting, at least a 30-minute spell most games.
Yeah, agree again here. He's about 420k. Like you said, there's plenty of other options at edge who are starting and may look to get the 55 to 60 minutes, but at least they are 100 to 150k cheaper. I expect Croker to come on at lock. Trezal then to probably get into the middle rotation with the props. Pasame Solo, he'll be a prop from the get-go. And that leaves Smith as a utility, like you said, Crossland to lock at some point again. So lock's going to be busy between those three. Smith to hooker. It sort of leaves Kant to Spell. McEwen is looking like the most likely role there. So, yeah, 420k and those other options. He's not found his way back into my side. And, not full of confidence. He's more a watch for me.
So for us, we're sort of saying for the Knights, Mooney is still a buy. Dylan Brown, stocks have risen and would suggest he is a buy. Yep. Kalen Ponga, he's a buy if you're brave and want to go sort of a pod at fullback. And then McEwen is sort of a watch. Wait and see what his minutes like. He's not going to hurt you if he gets 1 week of 50 and you see he plays 70 minutes and you think, yep, next week I can pick him up if there's an option of a trade out. Now moving on to the Cowboys, we have a couple of easy buys in here. I think Tom Chester with the centre and wing duel. I think he's an obvious one that you can take for at least the first sort of 3 weeks. They have a good run to start the Cowboys against the Knights, for example. So there could be some attacking points there, and he could easily make a bit of money in that first 3 or 4 weeks. And if he does lose out his position, once Labour is back, which I don't expect because I think they may drop Clifford and Purdue go into half at that stage. So I think he may keep his spot as long as he plays all right. So are we saying he's a big buy?
Yeah, massive on Chester. That was great news. Obviously pulled up with a bit of a knee injury there in pre-season. Fantastic to see he's named. Dual position, like you said. I think all but bottom dollar. So, he should be above the 50% mark. Get him in if you don't. And hopefully he gets that spot longer than the first couple of weeks when Labour comes back.
The other one there is Maluki on the edge, playing in 11. And the good thing about that is Nanai, when he is back, will be the 12. So it sort of looks like it's his spot to lose at the moment. And although there is a couple of the likes of Bateman hanging around, I think Lukey's sort of that attacking threat in the side that is a great ball runner. I think even with 50, 55, maybe 60 minutes, I think he's going to score pretty good for us coaches.
Yeah, another one that's in my side, and he should be in most. Like you said, 55 to 60 minutes will be enough. Kai O'Donnell, I expect to be rotating in the edges. So he might spell McIntyre first, McIntyre onto Lukey, and then Lukey back on for the last 10 or 15 for O'Donnell. So I do think those 3 guys will fill the 2 spots, but there'll be enough minutes there for Lukey not to be stressed or concerned about that. And he's at 300k, so even if it's a 8 to 10 week slower burn than we'd like, playing 80 minutes, hey, the coin will come. So be patient, keep him there, and he won't let you down. They don't have a buy until I think it's something like round 15. So if he stays injury free, ride him until he peaks, hopefully 150k plus there, you'll be away laughing.
Right, staying in the 4-pack, we've got Reed Marnie at hooker, but the coaches that do have him selected, and if Frosty, if you can quickly find me out a percentage.
I've got it for you, Steve. 22% he's sitting at.
22%. I expect that to drop it should be below 10. I mean, I think he still will make some money, but with Sonny Luke there, it just about guarantees he's not playing more than 65 minutes. And at that stage, although he may get some attacking stats early, I don't think he's going to be a reliable scorer or money maker you want, especially as a starting hooker in your side.
Yeah, like I just checked that earlier, just before we jumped on, to see what his percent was, because I was interested. After Teamless Tuesdays confirmed that Sonny Luke's there, and was, scratched my head to see 22%. So whether that's coaches a little bit late to the party, or coaches are just willing to stick at it. They aren't going to 80-minute Harry Grant or Sharks hooker Rayleigh. I'm not sure what's quite going on there with that 22%, but Sonny Luke will be grabbing 15 to 20 minutes, and that's going to max Reed out at a 40 to 45 average at best. And there'll be a couple of lowies in there with the lack of minutes because he loves the missed tackle. It just doesn't make sense for me. So if you've got him on your side, I would be going to another option, because it doesn't quite make sense with Luke sitting there. So jump off that train, team.
And I'll just quickly touch on a few other Cowboys players. Scott Drinkwater, he's priced at a nearly full price. He's around 654k, I think. And to start the season, I wouldn't recommend it. Although they do have a good run, he should be goal kicking, hopefully. But it's a pretty risky, because he's always someone that can give you sort of a 20 in a game. And you don't want those big highs or big lows, because the averages will never start making money. On top of that, we also have Dearden. He is half, which is good, but with Clifford next to him, it's not ideal. If it was Purdue, then it would be someone that I would be considering as a half option. But for me, I would love to see Dearden drop a little bit of money with Clifford in the team, taking some of that kicking meters. And then when Purdue does hopefully go to half, Dearden becomes an option. And lastly, Ruben Cotter, I think, is an easy bit of value there. So he's not someone that's necessarily going to go guns blazing, make you 300k or something like that as a cheapie, but he is your sort of mid-range price that, could be a season-end keeper around that 50 points, but he's always going to be on that lower end. So I think there's maybe 5, 6, 7 points of value there. So for coaches that do have him, I wouldn't say no. Are you sort of on the same board with all those players, Frosty?
Yeah, 100%. I'm just trying to figure out the rotation of minutes here with this Cowboys. I actually haven't paid too much attention because I don't think there's anyone there, but Tomalolo's not going to be big minutes because he's got knee injuries with an aging body. McKaylee's not going to be massive minutes. Luke's going to be hooker cover. Kai O'Donnell's, like we just mentioned, is going to be an edge cover. McIntyre will probably be spoured first, like I mentioned earlier, and he'll most likely actually join the middle rotation looking at this. Harrison Edwards, I thought, would be Cotter at 13, but is Cohen Hess going to be their big minute guy? Is he going to be playing 55 minutes? I see Griffin Neems down at 18. Is the thought Luke for a couple of rounds until Reed gets up to 80 minutes, and then a 4 forward bench to bring in another front row? I just think they're a little bit light in the middle here, and someone's got to be eating up the minutes. So, maybe Cotter gets the 70 minutes to 80 minutes this year. I'm not sure but all of a sudden, he might be on the radar. Certainly watch probably the first week or two, because you can't just play the guessing game with rotations and minutes, but there must be a Cotter or a Hess or someone here pop up out of the woodwork.
I think with that 6-man bench, there's also no guarantee that someone like Sonny Luke will actually play. Although he's listed at 14, that's just your sort of traditional placer hooker or an impact player goes. So, they could be using 4 forwards this week, and it could be, Bateman could be straight off the bench as sort of one of your edge rotations. I'm not sure how they'll play it. It's going to be interesting with the 6-man bench. So there's no, as I would expect, sort of a Derby or someone like that to be in at 19. So you've got like a wing replacement. Interesting they haven't. They've decided to go 5 forwards in a hooker. So it's more unusual than I thought every team would be. So one to watch. But we'll move on now to the big game of the round for you, Frost.
Oh, yeah.
It is the Bulldogs taking on the Dragons. That will be at 7:30 New Zealand time, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
For the Bulldogs, key players there, Jacob Carraz, he is fit and healthy, ready to go on the wing. Matt Burton, he's also made a recovery from his niggly injury. He's going to be starting at in number 6. Bailey Haywood, as predicted, he will be your hooker. Jacob Preston, another one that's near full value, but still a reliable scorer there on the edge. Not too much on the bench. They do have Sean O'Sullivan hanging down there in case Matt Burton was to be sort of pulling up lame early or not get through warm-ups, I imagine. For the Dragons, there is plenty of options here that do take my fancy. Setu 2, someone that I think should be in most teams as a bit of a meter eater on the wing. 250k, I think it's a no-brainer. Daniel Atkinson, I'm very interested in him, but I am cooling off slightly. Just not sure there's going to be enough Dragons attack, especially against a Bulldog side that's pretty good on defense. And then the forward pack, we've got Damien Cook. He could be a little flyer to have the first 6 or 7 rounds until Little is back. I have to double check when he is back. I'll have a look at that after this. Toby Couchman, he's got the starting prop role. Hamish Stewart, he's starting at lock, as we sort of were hoping would be the case. Hame Celia is there at number 14, along with 3 other forwards in their first 4 players, which includes Ryan Couchman, who is another cheapie listed only as an edge on the app, but will play majority of mid, I think, in this lineup. And he's only 250k. So, Frosty, who you leaning to starting with from the Dragons?
Yeah, 2 is certainly in the side, so he won't be leaving. Atkinson, I was looking at. Sanders again hasn't been on my radar too much. It has started to strengthen, and so I was weighing those 2 up earlier today. The 100k difference does hurt. I sort of envisioned Daniel Atkinson being that Metcalf sort of player. A lot of coaches started with Metcalf last year. A couple of quiet games, very low 30s. Most of us jumped off. And yeah, the Warriors were his side, and he eventually found a bit of mojo, got comfortable and started scoring those 50-plus scores. I think Atkinson's sort of in the same park. Like, it will be risky. There will be the low 30s, maybe even a 28 or so there. But if you can stay with it, I think a little bit of consistency should come, because he lined up on the right side, so he should get the 20-plus tackles, as long as he's not missing many. Again, if 250 to 300 plus kicker meters. If you can have that base of 30 odd, and he does look an attacking threat, he will run the ball. I don't mind it. I think he certainly has more attacking upside than Sanders, and does that outweigh the 100k difference? That's sort of what I'm weighing up at the moment, and coaches have to think about that. So I think he's got more upside than Sanders, but yeah, like you said, Dragons might struggle a little bit. They have a hell of a forward pack, though. Like, we talked about that in a previous episode. Forwards just galore, so they shouldn't be out-muscled in too many games, you'd like to think, which will help him. So, yeah, he's not there at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if he finds his way in somehow for me. Hamish Stewart, we mentioned him earlier episode as well. Like, whether Saleh was starting or he was on the bench, we only envisioned Saleh 15 minutes first stint, 15 in the second, like a 50 minutes to 30 split. I think it'll be the same here. Maybe 10 minutes before halftime, 20 the other side. Like, it's still going to be a 50-30. I don't think it changes too much. So Hamish Stewart's point per minute scorer, bit of value there. Slow burn, but it probably makes sense to get him in.
Yeah, for me, Daniel Atkinson was in my team quite firmly, especially after his dominating the kicking sort of meters in their last trial match alongside Flanagan. But with the news of Sandon Smith getting the bench role for the Knights, I've sort of replaced Daniel with Dylan Brown. So Dylan Brown's made his way in my team. I think he's just got more upside if he does take a bigger role in terms of his base stats, because he does have the running game as well to always potentially get you more. So if he's sort of running and getting those base stats, I like Dylan Brown more of an option. But I do think Atkinson could be a sneaky play and end up being like a hot 45 to a 52 type player. And for that reason, I did pick him up in my draft, and I do have him on my bench just in case, because I think he could be a smoky one. Hamish Stewart, not for me this season. I'm going to wait and see. If he does look to be getting good minutes, it's someone I will pivot to if I need to trade out. I'm not comfortable with that bench rotation and with that 4-pack of who's going to get what. And it worries me as well for Toby Couchman, to be honest. So one thing I will add, Damien Cook is not a buy, although he might score really well this first round. It does look like Jacob Little is back in round 2, having looked at the casualty ward.
Yeah.
So I'd firmly stay away from that. But Ryan Couchman, the other one, as an edge only at 250k, again, where he fits in, does he play edge or will he play prop? Someone will have to spell Leilua for a little bit, but I mean, Couchman as an edge only in fantasy, I think there's a couple other options you can go with. You've got Lukey at 300k, you've got Paxton, and you've got Lasarte as well at both under 300k. So I think those options are maybe more reliable and more sensible to start the season.
Yeah, and like that 4-pack, Googler is a 50-minute prop. He showed that last year for the Dragons. Couchman can be 60 to 70. Sully there, Lockwood, like we said, probably 30 minutes max. I guess Josh Kerr, especially Blake Laurie, they aren't big minute props, but you would envision both those guys have 30 minutes, one each for Gould and Couchman, which only leaves Ryan Couchman to be spelling Leilua. So yeah, I'm not sure there's many minutes up for grabs for Ryan Couchman, and if there is, well, that's probably bad news for his brother Toby. Because it'll start eating into the mids if he's not just replacing Leilua. And Leilua is looking far fitter. I think he's lost 15 kgs, and he's looking unreal. So, a couple of question marks around some of those guys. I did actually have Leilua for the last week, 10 days, but yeah, with the makeup of this bench and the unknowns, all those other edge options out there are probably looking a little bit safer.
I do think the Dragons is one to watch for injuries. If there was one or two that do pop up, there could be a couple of interesting buys if they get a decent stint. One I will mention, David Farley there at number 19. I would stay clear of him because I don't think he'll be getting any game time unless there is an injury, particularly early if they haven't used their 4 interchange bench players. But he will be a green dot in the app, so he may trick a few coaches. So stay clear of that.
Yeah.
Jumping back to the Bulldogs, for me, the only one I'm actually starting with is Jacob Kiraz, and that is still up in the air if I do start with him. But I've gone really cold on Bailey Hayward. What's your thoughts on those two, and is there anyone else that you can sneak into your team?
Yeah, Hayward's always worried me. Like I wanted to wait to the trials. He wasn't in my team leading up to the trials, and he just didn't show anything else compared to the end of last year. He'll be rock solid defensively, and he does a whole lot of other things that don't show up in fantasy stats or that viewers probably don't see, but that the coaching staff and the Bulldogs love. We 1%ers and the communication and making the other players around him better. So that's just not relevant to the fantasy game. So he'll make his tackles, but yeah, he'll spit out some mid-20s, high 20s, as well as the odd 40. But I can't see much more than a 35 average, and you need 6 to 8 games of that consistently for him to make any sort of money at a slow burn. So not one for myself, even being a Dogs faithful. Kiraz had him early doors. The injury concerns me. The round 2 bye really doesn't help things. Currently, I'm thinking I may just wait and see, enjoy the game as the Dogs fan have neither of them, and see how Kiraz pulls up. But if he is 100% fit and he gets through, he can easily score a 60, 70 and be away laughing. And yeah, he's a big question mark for me at the moment. I'd love to get him in, but I don't want the blue and white glasses to be blurring decisions early on. But he is an out-and-out gun. I don't have one in the centres at the moment. He would solve that issue, and that's why he would find my team if he does.
He does have that centre duel, and that's what keeps me wanting to have him in the team. So, yep, that will be someone that I do consider. Otherwise, for me, there's not much value in that team.
No.
Looking forward to it. I can't actually wait for Sunday, to be honest with you, and watch these two games. So it's always good having NRL back, particularly Vegas to start with. We sort of get softly brought back into it, and then next week will be even humming even more with another 6 games. So thank you, Frosty, and hopefully we will pick some of these players right and get the best ones for our start of our team.
That's the one, and for the first time in 2026, go the Dogs.
And if anyone has watched this far, I want to know who you think will score more. Those two on screen in the middle there, Daniel Atkinson or Dylan Brown. Convince me one way or another, because I'm going to pick one of them, I think. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.
We appreciate your support for the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL fantasy. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Facebook, and most importantly, thanks for watching.